So today I'm going to be doing my very first book haul of 2019. The reason I decided to do this unhaul was because I have been taking all of my read books off my shelves for the most part and just putting books that are on my TBR. So I really got the chance to look at all of my unread books and determine whether or not I still wanted to read these books. And while I did come up with 34 that I was no longer interested in or I have gotten dual copies of, I still have a ton of unread books to read. So this stack is like nothing compared to what I still own. All right, so I have about 34 books over here ranging from children's, middle grade, YA, adult, and new adult. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get on into it. The first two books that I have are The Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett and The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. These are both in Puffin, what are these called? Puffin Young Readers? These are Puffin Books editions, and while I do love them very much, I have gotten editions that I love even more of these books more recently. So I don't need these. They're completely unread, they're beautiful, and they deserve a better shelf to be sitting on than mine, just collecting dust, not being read, not being loved, not being adored. So that's what I plan to do. The next book I have is The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place, The Mysterious Howling by Mary Rose Wood. I got this book because I loved the cover art, and also the main character's name is Penelope, so I was like, yes, yes. But looking back on it, I have owned this for probably 4 years now, and I've never had the urge to read it, so I just feel like it's not really necessary to keep it. The next book I picked up is another children's book, and this is Wildwood by Colin Malloy, and of course this was another cover buy because look at it. It's freaking gorgeous. It really, really is. It's got really interesting illustrations, and it has been blurbed by a lot of people that I like Lemony Snicket, Michael Chabon, Jonathan Safran Foer, Trenton Lee Stewart. I don't know. It's another book that I just never pick up. I never have the urge to. But if this is a good book and you guys know that it is, let me know and maybe I will give this another chance. The next book I am going to unhaul is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. And this is a series that I think has like a lot of books. It's got a lot of books, and I just felt like, again, this is never one that I reach for. I'm kind of torn because I do love middle grade books, but I don't read them enough. And maybe I need to. Maybe I do need to just pick them up and start reading them more. But I don't know if I can devote myself to a hugely long series like this. But I will say that the illustrations are really cool. It's cool. The next book is The Glass Sentence by S.E. Grove. This is a middle grade fantasy that has been compared to Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy, and I read the first probably 30 pages and I just wasn't really into it, and I've never wanted to pick it back up again. So I think this one has got to go. The next two books are going to be a bit controversial because they are from a very well-loved series on BookTube, but it's just never been one that I have enjoyed. First is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, and The Sea of Monsters, the second Percy Jackson book by Rick Riordan. So I read the first book, started to read the second book, and just wasn't into them. This is one that I really am sad that I don't enjoy because it's Greek mythology and I love Greek mythology, but I don't know, when it comes to Rick Riordan books, I don't really get the hype. I've held on to these books for years, especially with the old covers, because I like the old covers more than the new ones, but I don't know, I feel like I need to finally let these go. The next three books I have are actually a part of a box set, and this is the first three books in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. So there is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Hollow City, and Library of Souls. I actually purchased this to give to one of my nieces for Christmas or her birthday, and I found something else that I wanted to give her instead and just have kept these since then. It's completely unread. There is a little bit of a tear here in the plastic covering, but it came like that. So anyway, I will probably be selling this on my Depop account once I have that all set up, because I do own the first two books in hardcover, and once I finally read those, I'm sure I'm gonna wanna purchase the next 2 books in hardcover as well. So yeah, there's really no reason for me to keep these. All right, so the next few books that I'm gonna get into are all young adult, and the first one is Da Vinci's Tiger by L.M. Eliot. This is actually coined as a very similar historical fiction to The Girl with the Pearl Earring, except it's young adult, but it has the same premises. Like, it's based on a painting that may or may not have existed of a Renaissance heroine and the relationship between this heroine and the painter. And I love The Girl with the Pearl Earring, but I tried to read this and I just couldn't get into it. This also came in an Owl Crate subscription, so I don't know. I feel like the majority of Owl Crate subscriptions that I've gotten, I haven't been that impressed with the books. Actually, I think I have another book in here from Owl Crate. So yeah, this one just wasn't for me. The next book I have is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. And this book, I'm pretty sure I already unhauled in a past book unhaul, but I recently took it back from my niece to read because I wanted to read the book before rewatching the series before the second season came out. So I read it and it's okay. The TV series is way better and I just don't really feel like owning this. The next book I have is Black Widow Forever Read by Margaret Stoll, and this is one of those popular YA superhero retellings. While I do love Margaret Stoll, she is one of the authors of the Castor Chronicles series that I adore. Somewhere over, oh, I guess I don't have them over there anymore. Anyway, I look at it and I'm like not excited by it. So I just feel like I need to let it go. The next book that I'm getting rid of is Monstrous Beauty by Elizabeth Fama. This is a mermaid book, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of wondering if I really do want to get rid of it. So if you guys have read it, let me know and maybe I will reconsider this because it's a mermaid book and I like mermaids. The next book is another book that I received from Owl Crate, Soundless by Rochelle Mead. And while I really, really love Rochelle Mead's Vampire Academy series, this is a book that just, again, has never really screamed out to me from my shelves and told me to pick it up. And it also didn't get great reviews. I just remember when it came out on BookTube and people were just like, it's okay. The next book I have is The Nightmare Affair by Mindy Arnett, and this is one that I always wanted to read because I thought the cover was intriguing and it was like always on book outlets, but I've owned it for years and I still haven't picked it up. So I don't know. If you guys think it's worth something, let me know and I will reconsider. The next book that I am unhauling is The Ship Beyond Time by Heidi Haleg. I am also going to be getting rid of the first book in this series, The Girl from Everywhere. I just read The Girl from Everywhere last year and it wasn't that great to me and I just don't feel like reading this. So I'm not gonna. The next book is Tempest by Julie Cross, and I have owned this book possibly since before I joined BookTube. I just remember seeing the cover and knowing that it was about time travel and being intrigued by that because I had recently read The Time Traveler's Wife and I loved that book. But this book is like a completely different concept, and again, I've owned it for years and I just don't see myself ever reading this. The next book is another book that I've owned for years, and it is Half Bad by Sally Green. This is the first in a young adult trilogy or series that is one that I really haven't heard much about on BookTube. It's been mentioned, but no one's really ever raved about it. And while that's not always the determining factor for me, like I can love a book that other people hate, I'm just not excited about this book, so I don't really ever see myself picking it up. So the next few books I'm going to talk about are all adult books. The first is a historical fiction, and it is called The Zookeeper's Wife by Diane Ackerman. Actually, I don't know if it's fiction. I think it's based on a true story about Polish zookeepers who hide Jewish people during the Holocaust in their zoos. But I started to watch this movie, and within, I don't know, 30 minutes there was animal death, and I can't watch or read books that have animal death or torture or anything like that in it. I don't know, I don't see myself being able to stomach this book, even though the concept is amazing. And if it is a true story, which yeah, it is a true story, that is amazing that these two people saved Jewish people by hiding them from the Nazis. That's incredible. And I love World War II history, but like I said, I just don't know if I can stomach this one. The next book I have is Brilliance by Marcus Sacchi, and this is supposed to be like a heist novel that I picked up a few years ago, and I've heard less than stellar things about it since then. And just like with all of these books that I'm talking about, this just does not jump out to me, so I feel like I need to get rid of it. The next book I have is called The Same Sky by Amanda Eyre Ward, and I don't know much about this book. My mom gave it to me after she read it and told me to read it, but I just don't know if I'm ever gonna read it. So the next book I have is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. I know this is actually going to be turned into a movie, and I don't really have any interest in seeing the movie or reading this book, even though it's teal and the cover is kind of like giving me major Rifle Paper Company vibes, but I just don't think this is for me. The next book I have is The Girls by Emma Cline, and this is a paperback edition, and while I have not read this book, I do want to read it, but I own a hardcover edition, so I don't need this one. The next book I'm going to unhaul is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is a book that I read in 2017, and it is an adult thriller, but to me it was less than thrilling. It was very predictable, and I just really didn't enjoy it. The next book I'm going to unhaul is The Furies by Natalie Haynes, and this is actually a book that a lot of people I like blurbed, and it sounds very reminiscent of The Secret History. It's about a bunch of kids and their teacher, and then just something really disastrous happens. And I'm still interested in reading this book, but I actually repurchased it in paperback, and it's just like, wait, it's like this big, awkward hardback. I don't want it. I don't need it. The next book is another adult thrillery type, but I just did not find it very interesting. It is called The Most Dangerous Place on Earth, and it follows a group of high school students, and one of them, I believe, commits suicide, and it shows you the effects of that student's death taking effect of all these other students who knew him. Again, I just didn't enjoy this very much, and it's another one of those large, awkward hardcovers, so I don't want it. So the last three books that I have to show you guys are all new adult. The first is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire, and I read this years ago, probably in like 2011 or 2012 before I started BookTube, and it's just so not good that I don't know how I've kept it for this long, honestly. The next is Walking Disaster. It's actually a retelling of the first one through the male character's eyes, and I just don't like have any desire to read that. The final book is Unravel Me by Kalia Reed, and I remember seeing this book mentioned on Kayla over at Books and Lala's channel quite a bit, and she said it was just so good, like a psychological thriller slash new adult smutty time read, and I read the first like 40 pages and I just thought it was so bad. Like the writing was, it was just bad, and the plot was bad, and I was like, no way am I gonna read this. Even though it's short, I could not devote the time to it, so gonna get rid of this one, even though I do really like the cover. In the comments below, I would love for you guys to tell me if you have read these books and what you thought about them. As you may have noticed, I'm on the fence about a lot of these books, which I didn't really realize until I started going through them again, but there are quite a few that I may be reconsidering whether or not I unhaul. So that is where you guys come in. Definitely let me know how you feel about these books, if you think I should get rid of them or if you think I should give them another chance instead. All right guys, so that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one.